What up, y'all? I don't know. I just do stupid shit sometimes. Um, I'm inside the cabin today, as you can see. Well, one of the cabins. Um, got this cool mirror, this cool bookshelf. Got some other stuff going on. I don't know. Random props and doodads. It's been raining, which is actually good because the heat wave's coming and the plants need a little bit of water. But unfortunately, we don't have a well here, so I've been kind of relying on my sister to fill up water jugs or just buying water jugs at the store, which kind of sucks. But we just installed a gutter, and that will be much needed rainwater for the orchard during these hot summers. So once that finally gets installed, once we get around to it, things will be looking up. All right, enough life updates. Let's talk about the juicy stuff. Today I was thinking, well, I guess this past hour, I was thinking about ego and adaptability. So, from my perspective and what I understand is when it comes to ego, it really matters what perspective and what generation you join, you know? So, like, I'd say my parents' generation were big on having egos. It was important to have an ego. And it was important to know who you were, to stand for your morals. You know, you think about superheroes and they were like they were basically embodiments of certain morality structures. And of course they had big egos. We see our generation's the opposite. Our generation hates the idea of having an ego and thinks the ego is the reason anyone is just an asshole. It's like, oh, he's an asshole, he's got a big ego. We've kind of conflated the two. But I think there's a little bit more nuance in the situation. You feel me? You feel me? 6'7", as the kids would say. Am I popular yet now? I'm getting Gen Alpha involved in this. Man, we're cooked sometimes. Anyways. What was I even talking about? Ego. Yes. So, the older generation had more of an inherent good connotation of the word ego. We have a horrible connotation of ego. But from my perspective, like everything, there's nuance and balance, and there's a reason for an ego, and there's a reason to not be so egotistical. I think I could make a whole nother video, which I might, on just balance, because balance ultimately is the answer to life, and I think balance is actually the biggest struggle our generation has. But I'm going to focus on ego, and maybe after this, I'll try to record something on balance. I'll rewatch it, and it will remind me. So let's get back to ego. No sidetrack, no tangents this time. So, I'm going to state what I think are the benefits of an ego and what I think it's not a good time to have an ego. So, I'll start with the benefits. I think an ego is actually helpful to have because, one, it gives you a certain amount of confidence, which you need. You know, people underestimate confidence a lot, you know, and confidence comes with capability, with your ability to just do things, not think things, do things, which is why, sort of in this channel and why I even started this channel, I just wanted to try doing something to see if I had gained more confidence through competence, and ergo boost my ego. See, when you feel like you don't know how to do anything, actually, I don't even know if it's when you feel like or if you know secretly deep down. I haven't discerned the difference about whether you can or can't do something, you know? I don't know if it's because secretly deep down I feel like I feel like I can't do anything, or if I actually don't know how to do a lot of things compared to other people, and maybe the ego is trying to the opposite. My nervousness and having lack of an ego is because I don't actually know how to do a lot of things. I don't know if this is is it in my head or is it real type of situation. many ways. Now I'm going on a little bit of a side tangent. Like I said, ego is important because it makes you feel more confident. It makes you even just having the act of being confident in what you do makes you more competent in a way. I'm not saying it's like makes up for everything, but have you ever been doing something and you're just randomly feeling it? You know, you're feeling the confidence, you're feeling like you're doing right, and then suddenly everything is just going smooth as butter. You know, everything feels right, and it self-perpetuate loops, and you're just like, yes, I know what I'm doing, and it feels so good. That's a great part of ego. Another part of ego that's good is it keeps you grounded, and it lets you have a level of self-respect that you just won't have if you just had no ego. Like a lot of ego and confidence are kind of together. Ego is a sense of self, I guess, or it's like, yeah, ego is the sense of self. You need some sort of sense of self. Jeez, I can't speak. Some sort of sense of self. That's a tongue twister. To make your way in the world. You need to have some sort of understanding of what you're doing and who you are to then enact your will onto the universe, I guess, or in the world, or whatever you'd like to enact your worldview on. I'd say where ego kills you is when it makes you feel falsely confident, or it makes you too rigid and not able to adapt to the times. I'll go over both those points, but I think the second point is much more important. But the first point is, yeah, you can just be, egomaniacal. You think or even narcissistic if you really want to get. I think our generation throws narcissistic around way too much. Like, narcissism itself is not that common. Narcissism is when, like, you literally only think about yourself. Egotistical people just generally think of themselves, but they're capable of thinking of other people. It's just not common. Narcissists are like, it's like egotistical, egomaniacal narcissist, from my perspective. So yeah, just having too much confidence makes you think you're the shit when you're not the shit, and it will especially screw you if the world ever actually, just forces you into a situation you thought you knew what you could do and you don't, and then your ego just gets the fucking 1-2 knocked out. You kind of lose your identity. But sometimes that event doesn't happen, There's some people I've met, especially when you work in customer service. I know all my servers and bussers and all of my, those people. They've met some people who've never had their ego punched because they're just high on their own farts, dude. Like, they don't know anything but themselves. Me. Those people are very frustrating. See, that's also another downside with that, is that people who have a generally modest view of people find those people fucking insufferable. And one of the most important things in life is being bearable to other people. Like, you will go a long way, even if you're not competent, by just being likable and easygoing. Make friends, easygoing. I'm not saying it will carry you through everything, but you can do a lot of things with just being likable. And the second thing I said is adaptability. I don't know if I want to do a whole nother video on adaptability, because I think that and balance kind of go hand in hand, sort of. They're not exactly the same, but adaptability is super important, like super, super, super important. If I could teach like young people this, or just get them to their heads, is learn how to be adaptable. And with that comes the death of your ego in a way. Not like in some hippie trippy way, like, oh man, I did so many mushrooms, I lost my ego, and now I'm just like one with the universe, man. Like, not that. It's something I alluded to in a previous video, where it's like, don't tie yourself to an outcome happening. Like, don't tie your own identity to anything happening. Let's say you go to college and you are dead set on having this job that you applied to. It's your dream job, blah, blah, blah. Well, what if you don't get it? What if that company goes under in a year? What if God forbid your parents die, or a sibling dies, or something, or your house gets destroyed. There's a lot of things that can happen with life. And I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen. I mean, some of those things are unfortunately guaranteed to happen. But things will happen in your life. Like, no matter what you think. And things will happen, like, even if you stay there for 5 years, that's so uncommon nowadays. What I see is people staying somewhere for 5 years. It usually takes like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 years, and then there's just something, their lives change. Your life changes one step at a time. But over 4 years, that's a lot of steps. You've gone somewhere totally different. So you just got to learn to be adaptable. You got to learn to change your mindset, you know? I am nothing like I was 3 years ago. And sometimes, no matter how unfortunate it is in the moment, trauma is a great kick in the butt. You know, I lost like a long-term girlfriend, and I still, of course, miss her. It was about a year ago now, which is crazy to say because it feels like it was just like 2 months ago. But I've changed so much from that, and you got to learn to be grateful. And I know when you're in the moment, no amount of someone saying that will make you feel better. So I'm not going to pretend as if I say this, you'll suddenly feel better. It's just something that you have faith in. You just learn to have faith in that it will be better. Just like when you work out, you know, you could do it for a month or two and not see any results. You're acting on faith. Faith is the idea of, faith starts with doubt, you know? Faith starts with doubt, but doing it anyways. That's basically what faith is. Have doubt. You can have your doubts, but just do it anyways, because what others have told you, or not others have told you, like the wisdom, the science, whatever you're following has told you the results will come. You just need to have faith it will come. That's why so many people share these videos and say the things, and a lot of people listen and listen and listen, but they don't do anything. They don't change. You have to change. You have to actually change by doing things, you know? I have had no social media. I have 1,000 photos in my phone, which sounds like a lot, but compared to most people my age, I have 1,000 photos from when I was 15, and I'm 27. So 12 years, I've had 1,000 photos. I hated social media. I hated that stuff. But the time calls for it, you know? Sometimes you just gotta, I didn't have to cling to that idea that I'm someone who doesn't use social media. Or I don't post online, or I like to be a ghost and no one knows what I'm doing, you know? You just gotta be adaptable and willing to change things. If you're in a dead-end job you fucking hate, I'm not saying quit your job, but I'm saying make a plan for something else. Learn to be creative with what you do, you know? Maybe you could find somewhere else to live. Maybe you could find a different program. Maybe you could just find some kind of license, some kind of qualification that makes you better in something that you actually enjoy. I don't know. I'm trying to give a little bit of practical advice with my yapping, but adaptability is pretty hard because it's kind of a do. You just got to do something, and you got to plan it, but do it. Everyone gets into the planning. We all get that like late night motivation where we binge watch lots of videos or we read a book or something on what we should be doing. We get all amped up, and then the next day you wake up and you're like, I'm not going to do that. Or whatever. You just kind of like forget about it. And I'm not saying you just have to do, I don't know. It's hard to say what makes you change. I'm going to end the video after this last point. From my perspective, what has helped me the most actually changing is changing my environment, where I am, which is why I think lots of people like to travel and they don't really know why. But traveling forces you to be in some sort of different environment, which forces you to be a different person. You have to be. Like, it's just definition. When you're in a different place, you have to be different. You have to do things different. And I think traveling kind of like itches that urge. But when you travel. Like when you do seasonal work, you have to change. You are in a different place. You are with different people. It forces you to change. And it's not so much the change itself, it's the fact that you are now capable of changing itself. You have changed from who you were. And now when you go back, well, not back. You shouldn't go exactly back because a lot of times you fall back in the habit. But I'm saying when you change again, you're more used to it. You can transition quicker. You're more adaptable. Anything someone throws at you, it only takes you a few weeks to set in instead of months. And soon you just like, anywhere you get thrown, you're just fine. And that's a really key, important part of life. Anyways, guys, I am going to go make some food, and I have a yummy kombucha to drink. If you guys don't like kombucha, I don't know what to tell you. Bye.